let's talk about that feeling. You know the one. You finish a frantic 10-hour workday, you look back and you realize you didn't actually accomplish anything that really mattered. You were busy, sure, but you didn't move the needle. Well, today, we're breaking down the strategy that separates that kind of busy work from real breakthrough results.
It's a seriously frustrating question, isn't it? Our calendars are jammed, our inboxes are a disaster, but that feeling of making real, tangible progress, it just seems harder and harder to find. So what is going on here?
All right, let's be crystal clear about the reality of your workday. Every single day, whether you realize it or not, you are fighting a war. It's not a war with tanks and soldiers, it's a battle for your single most valuable and totally finite resource, your focused attention.
Author Cal Newport argues this whole conflict comes down to two kinds of work. On one side, you've got deep work. This is the stuff that's cognitively demanding, it creates new value, and it's really hard for someone else to just swoop in and do. On the other side, shallow work. Think logistical stuff, answering emails, things that are easy to do while you're distracted. The big problem is our entire modern work culture is basically engineered to pull us into the shallow end of the pool all day long. So if you're in a war, how do you win it? Well, Cal Newport's argument is that the ability to do deep work isn't just another nice little habit. In the 21st century economy, it's the definitive superpower. And let's be really precise about what we mean here. This is not just focusing. This is about building a mental fortress of solitude, where you can push your brain right to its absolute limit. This is the state where you produce things that are brand new, and you build skills that are incredibly difficult to replicate.
And look, this isn't some abstract theory. This is where real, world-changing value gets created. Bill Gates didn't architect the future of software while toggling between emails and Slack. J.K. Rowling didn't finish one of the biggest book series of all time with her social media notifications popping off. No, they isolated themselves. They went deep.
But here's where it gets really, really interesting. The benefit here isn't just psychological. It's not just a mindset. When you practice deep work, you are triggering a physical, biological upgrade inside your own brain. So think of it like this. Every time you focus intensely on a skill, you're firing a specific circuit of neurons over and over. That repetition sends a signal to your brain to wrap those neurons in a fatty tissue called myelin. Myelin is like insulation for your brain's wiring. The more insulation, the faster and more efficiently that circuit can fire. You are literally hardwiring the skill into your neurology. It's the exact same concept as building muscle at the gym, but for your brain.
Okay, so if deep work is a superpower, how do we actually forge it? Because this doesn't happen by accident. It requires some serious discipline and a really clear framework.
Newport's framework has 4 main disciplines. First, you have to identify. What's the 20% of your work that actually drives 80% of your results? That's your deep work. Second, you have to ritualize it. You schedule it, you protect that time on your calendar like it's the most important meeting of the week. Third, eliminate. Create your fortress. Be absolutely ruthless about getting rid of every single distraction. And fourth, and this one is non-negotiable, you have to shut down. You need a hard stop to let your brain actually recover.
And this little quote really drives home just how important that rest is. To signal that his workday is over so his mind can truly disengage, Newport literally says out loud, "Shut down complete." Now I know, it might sound a little cheesy, but that kind of clear boundary tells your brain, hey, it's safe to stop thinking about work now. And that is absolutely essential for recharging the mental batteries you need for the next day's deep work.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly powerful in theory. But let's be honest, in a world of open-plan offices, constant connectivity, and endless meetings, is this even practical? This is the reality check.
You will often hear this number thrown around, 4 hours. That's supposedly the absolute daily limit for true, high-intensity deep work. And for a lot of people, that can sound either impossibly long or maybe even surprisingly short. But here is the critical piece of context that almost everyone misses. That 4-hour limit comes from studies on elite performers. We're talking concert violinists, grandmaster chess players, practicing at their absolute bleeding-edge peak. As Newport himself clarifies, most professional deep work, while it's demanding, it's not that intense. So for most of us, that limit is probably a lot more flexible.
You know, the real barrier for most of us isn't actually our calendar, it's our relationship with our devices. You can view your phone as this amazing cyborg extension of your brain, or you can see it for what it's often designed to be, an engine for behavioral addiction. Newport argues that the addiction model is way more accurate. Those little dopamine hits you get from notifications, they are not an accident. They are engineered to keep you hooked, and they actively fragment your ability to focus.
And here's the hidden cost every time you give in to that pull. Every single time you take a quick glance at your inbox or social media, you create something called attention residue. It means a piece of your cognitive bandwidth, a part of your focus, gets stuck on whatever you just saw even after you look away. So context switching isn't free. It's a tax you pay on the quality of your attention.
So this leaves us with one really critical question for you to think about. When you look at your career, at your most important goals, what is the one project or the one skill that if you gave it your full, undivided, deep attention would fundamentally change everything? To dive deeper into these strategies, you can find a link to Cal Newport's book and other resources right there in the description below. And be sure to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the frameworks that shape success. We will see you in the next one.